friends, this Sunday I am going to unbox and review two products from Kanwrite, a fountain pen manufacturing company that brands its pens under their brand name Kanwrite. A family operated business which began way back in 1986 as a producer of fountain pen nibs, it has quite recently diversified into mass scale fountain pen manufacturing and is presently the largest exporter of fountain pen nibs across the world. Today, I unbox and review two versions of their Kanwrite Emperor series, one in a medium nib, the other in a fine nib. So, without any further delay, let us flip the camera and go on to the unboxing. Let us now unbox the pens. Kanwrite pens usually come in cardboard boxes like this, which are magnetically closed, and this is the pen. And they have also supplied a cartridge. With this, we will see how it can be used, and this is pretty much it. There is nothing else in the box. So, we keep the box aside. The other version is a medium nib version of the same pen with a shiny black finish. There is another cartridge supplied with the box. So, this is it. Let us keep the boxes aside and look at the pens. So, this is the pen. It is quite a girthy and a fairly heavy pen at that. As you can see, Kanwrite is inscribed here with the Emperor branding. Now, this is an all metal pen. So, the sides or the finials of the pen are plain and rounded, they are seamless, and the pen opens with a pull. Let us look at the cap first. Well, clearly the margin of the cap suggests that the metal may be brass. There is an inner plastic jacket which holds this section of the writing section, this section tightly. So, this is how it clips shut. Well, the cap is otherwise fairly light. There is a spring loaded clip here which it's perfectly seamless. This whole section is seamless. Now, this is the writing section. There are three bands, they are all metallic, and the pen opens with 5 rotations. Well, this band section may be chrome made, the rest of it is brass. So, they have supplied a unique looking converter which I see only in Kanwrite pens. This converter is fitted with this is a plastic one. Okay, there is a double rubber washer here. So, as I can see, this end has to be twisted and then twisted in the reverse direction to suck up the ink. Let me tighten this, and this is it. Now, with regard to the nib, this is a medium nib. It is basically a steel nib with dual toned plating. Now, interestingly, Kanpur Writers offers nibs in 3 choices. One is a dual tone one like this, the other is a purely gold plated, and the third is a steel finish. So, buyers who are buying Kanpur Writer pens or Kanwrite pens can go to their website and choose the finish of their choice. Interestingly, Kanpur Writers also offer as many as 6 nib widths, beginning with extra fine, fine, medium, broad, then the flex nib and the ultra flex, and the feed is either plastic or ebonite. So, it can be customized to the best extent possible from their website, and one of the primary reasons why users of Kanwrite pens are satisfied is they can get the exact shade of nib feed and nib finishes as they like while ordering the pens. Now, let me ink up this pen and do a writing sample. The other pen is also of the Emperor series, but this has a fine nib. Now, one primary reason why I shall be reviewing both the pens is to check how their fine differs from the medium in terms of the feedback that the nibs produce as it is used on paper. So, we link up both the pens and then do a writing sample. For today's inking, I am using Daytone Sapphire Blue. Let me ink up the medium first. So, this is it. I would suggest that instead of filling this section fully, some air is to be allowed inside, so that the pen or the nib does not bleed if it is filled with ink. So, this is the medium version. Now, let me fill the fine nibbed version. Yes, so this is it. Now, we go on to the writing sample. As is usually the case, I will first test the fine nibbed version on a 100 GSM paper. Okay, in the fine nib version, I detect a slight feedback from this page, but definitely it's not scratchiness. The nib is fairly smooth. It is fairly stiff as well. The downstrokes are wet. The upstrokes are a bit thinner, but nevertheless the slant strokes are also wet. So, as I can see, the downstrokes are a bit thicker than the upstrokes and the slant strokes. So, this is the performance of the fine nib version. Now, let me test the medium nib. Well, the medium nib version is maybe slightly thicker than the fine nib version. I don't know whether this is the case with all of their but the fine nib is a bit more smooth. The feedback is significantly less compared to the fine nib. Yes, it's definitely wet. Maybe the medium nib is slightly thicker and wetter than the fine, but nevertheless the only difference that I detect, other than the obvious thickness and the wetness of the nibs, is the fact that the medium nib offers little or no feedback on 100 GSM pages like this. So, this is it with regard to the medium nib. Effectively, both these versions, the fine and the medium, are very good writers. They are smooth, they hardly offer feedbacks, and definitely they are not scratchy. So, these pens do have very well made nibs. So, this is the writing sample. Now, let me go on to some features of the pen. Well, the first feature that I would look into would be the weight of the pens. Let me weigh the medium version first. Well, it weighs 40 grams. The fine nibbed one too weighs 40 grams. So, the weight is more or less similar with both the pens, plus minus a couple of grams due to the ink content. Now, we go on to the girth. Well, at its broadest section, this pen has a thickness of 1.51 centimeters. So, this is fairly thick. Now, let me check the gripping section. Well, it is 1.46 or 1.44 at the widest point here. At the start of the grip section, it is 1.21 centimeters. It slightly tapers down to 1.06 centimeters, and then there is a slight flare at this section to prevent the fingers from touching the nib. So, this is it. It is a fairly heavy pen, girthy, but nevertheless this pen is a delight for users who love writing with heavier than normal pens. Now we shall do some size comparisons with some very common pens that we usually encounter. So this is the Pilot V7, this is Platinum Profound, this is the very common Pilot High-Tech Point, this is the usual marker pens, this is a smaller version, a pocket version of Kaweco Brass Sport, and these are the Emperor series. So clearly the pens are not small, they are heavy, they are girthy, but nevertheless they are a delight to write. So overall, the Emperor series, both in its fine and medium nib versions, they check all the right check boxes and can be very prized possessions of fountain pen lovers. Thank you. So friends, that was all that I had for the review of Kanwrite Emperor in its fine and medium nib versions. Next Sunday would be a different review. I will be revisiting two of my very popular and prized possessions, commonly called Holy Grail pens of the fountain pen community. One, a Mont Blanc Classic, which I have been using for the past 12 years, and the other, a Visconti Homo sapiens Bronze Age version. I shall be pitting one pen against another, identify advantages and disadvantages with both of the pens, and then finally comment on how these two pens have served my writing needs in the past few years. So with these words, I end today's episode. See you again next Sunday. Thank you.